All right, everyone, we are getting started. This video is my effort to obtain a pre-race briefing so that you don't have to sit and listen to me provide a pre-race briefing for you guys in the field as we are going through it. I want to leave you with enough time with your maps so that you can plan your routes accordingly. So anyway, to get started, I hope that our race, which is now just a couple days away, is going to be a good one, and we look forward to seeing all of you out there on Saturday. The check-in is going to open at 5:30, and race start is at 7 a.m. on Saturday morning. Those times will be prompt. The initial plan for the race had bikes being dropped at a second location elsewhere on the course. The course had to be rerouted, so that bike drop is no longer a thing. You will start the race on your bikes, so you do not have to plan on making any trip to any bike drops at any point as we get through there. So we're starting at 7 a.m. The finish is at 7 p.m. This is a 12-hour race. As we've said before, if you are late at all, past 7 p.m., we will deduct one checkpoint from your final score, with one additional checkpoint taken for every 5 minutes you are late. So this is a key race to not be late. You may have seen in Racer Communication number 1 that we addressed several things. First was the paddle water level, where it is questionable and close to the Ranger closure levels. Unfortunately, one of the major rain events that we were expecting before the race was the rain that happened. This is yesterday as I recorded this on Wednesday, and the rain did not provide a significant jump to the river water surface. So it looks very, very likely that we will be able to have our paddle section and will be below the maximum water level that the Rangers close it at, which is great. We did not want to have to cancel that and lose one of the 3 elements of an adventure race on this course. Second, I noted that there was an additional piece of gear required in that email. There is CP11, our only paddle checkpoint, is accessed from a red ladder on the bank of the river at CP11. I will actually show that on my screen here in a second. So CP11 is down here. There will be a red ladder on the shore, roughly where my cursor is, that you will need to access this at. This is a roughly 10, 12 foot, 15 foot tall ladder like you would buy at Home Depot, that you need to find on the shoreline at the same rough location as the checkpoint, to access the shoreline. It is still likely, even though the water level is not at closure high levels, it is high enough that I believe that the beaches will be submerged in this area, and your boat will have a float away risk while you are obtaining this checkpoint. So particularly for our solo racers, you will need to secure your boat either to the ladder itself or to some roots that are coming out of the bank near the ladder. But you need to intend on that. There is very likely not going to be an acceptable parking spot for your boat at that location. So please be prepared for that. Next, there is a shooting range in the WMA. That range is open on Saturdays, and it is very likely that there will be people out there firing outdoors. So the northern section of the course goes close to this range, close enough that you will hear gunshots. You don't have to worry about people shooting at you. It is hunting land, but they're not shooting at the deer over your shoulder either. They are firing at a range. Gunshots are not necessarily something to be alarmed about. So wanted to put that out there, that you'll likely hear them. There were several folks out using the range when I was out there most recently setting the course. I'll go through the rules of travel here in a sec too, but I wanted to clarify one thing in particular from the maps. So I'm going to share again. The maps have 2 different areas several areas that are noted as out of bounds, In some cases, my drawing of out of bounds to denote private property versus public property could be misinterpreted to show that like this whole road is out of bounds. That's not the case. If you're on the road, you're fine in these areas. There's another similar location over here where there's private property on both sides of this roadway. The roadway itself is in bounds, but not the private land on either side. So please just understand that as we're rolling through the maps. Don't think that you can't go, that this paved road right here is out of bounds. It's public. It's fine. So wanted to clarify that quickly. And then I am going to go quickly through the rules of travel document. So every racer will be receiving this document in the same form that it's shown here on the morning of the race. So to look over that, we'll click here to the rules of travel and just go through these one by one. So first, you leave the start, make it down to the paddle, complete the paddle, and make it to the finish line. You are an official finisher of the CheNarr. There are no mandatory checkpoints that you have to receive in any order to get there, but you do have to complete the paddle. Second, there is another event going on today, the Music City Trail Ultra. This is an ultra marathon of several links, the longest of which is 50K. And these racers will start after you and finish before you, with the last racer coming to the finish at about 4:30 in the afternoon. So please, I don't think you will ever intersect with a ultra marathon racer during this course. But if you do happen to encounter someone, especially while you're on a bike, please yield to the runner. We don't think this is an issue, but just practice common courtesy. There are some aid stations for the runners of the Music City Trail Ultra. These are open to participants of the CheNarr. So in particular, for example, checkpoint, sorry, not 24, checkpoint 25 is only, it's less than a kilometer from the MCTU aid station 2-5. These aid stations have Gatorade, water, and some snacks that are there for the MCTU participants. They are available to you as well if you go and find them. Be aware that this will close when the last runner comes through. That might be 1 to 2 p.m. So you're more likely to be certain of obtaining what you're looking for early in the event. If it's 5 p.m., this is going to be closed. So don't expect that. So keep in mind the timeline for these aid stations. Next, the CPs. We have 26 checkpoints, and I want to apologize. You can look and think, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the direction we're supposed to go. That type of thinking doesn't apply to the CheNarr. We had to do a couple of reroutes, and our CPs are numbered the same number that you'll see on the map. So when we had to change the route a little bit, the numbers got a little garbled. So please don't get hung up on sequential numbering here. There are 26 out there. CP 7 through 9 don't even exist on the course, so you're not going to find those. And please just don't let that confuse you while you're out there. TAs will be manned by volunteers during the course. TA1 is going to be open all race, and this will have some water jugs to allow you to refill. TA24 and TA3, these TAs are going to be open from 10 p.m. to 6 p.m. However, TA2 specifically, this is where the boats are stored. You do need to take those boats out of the dock before 4:30. This will get everybody off the river before sunset, and just will avoid in the dark paddling over there. So please understand that the TA is open till 6 because your bike can stay there till 6, but that boat's got to be gone by 4:30. Scoring. So there's 26 checkpoints. So if you get 26, you've got all of them. And then the point is whoever has the most checkpoints wins. If 2 or 3 teams have 26 or tie with 22 or however many are collected, the team that gets there first wins. It's a tiebreaker on time. So any rule violations that we see on the course this hasn't happened in the past, probably won't this time, but will be we'll have time violations enforced by us. It may be time penalties, it may be CP penalties. It just depends on what it is. So just the rules are cleared on the website, so please follow those. Private property, I already went over those. I tried to denote where our course is close to private parcels in orange. Last year's road game participants surprised me by finding a different route through private property than I expected anyone to even want to do. So I tried to be a little comprehensive in covering all the private land. Stay off the orange areas if you can. Pipelines. Yellow routes on the map are natural gas pipelines. So these routes here, and in particular CPs 20 through 22, are close to this pipeline in particular. Pipelines are not meant for human travel. So they have grades steeper than any road would have. This line crossing all of these contours right here, it's not a joke. It's more like a ski slope than a trail, and it may be covered in thorns. And we do ask that since you likely have your bike in these segments, when you're at anything that's just insanely steep down to creeks, please walk your bike on the downslope. We don't want to see anyone in the hospital with like 4 broken ribs due to a mountain bike crash from one of these pipelines. So there are certainly ways around some of these areas on these roadways that could be much, much faster than going up and down these slopes. That's up to you. But we do ask that no one takes undue risks biking straight down some of these insane pipeline slopes. And lastly, the roads and trails, the locations on the map are pretty accurate. The white and black lines are roadways that are intended to be the same thing. These roadways were imported into the base map. These are ones that look the same, but I put in there during my own scouting of the course. So there's no difference other than when they were drawn on the map. Similarly, these are trails from the base map. These are trails that I added in. I think that's self-evident. Lastly, there are some places where I've dropped orange X's on the roadways. Maybe that's not the best symbology, but in some areas, like coming towards where's number 16? It's up here. Towards number 16, the base map showed the road continuing far further than it did. You will stop here on the way. This is the end of the road. The remainder of the road shown on the map does not actually exist in reality. You'll find that out when you're bushwhacking through trees in this area. So there are there's 2 or 3 spots like that. This is drawn roads that do not exist as roads. You are still free to travel in that area, though. It's not out of bounds or anything of that nature. And so to just go over this. So the start finish, you are going to start and finish this race on your bikes. The red checkpoints are intended to be our bike route, but they are unrestricted. I don't care if you bike all the way to checkpoint 16 or if you drop your bikes down here and hike up, it doesn't matter. You can use whatever means of travel, bike or trek or paddle, which it's not real relevant here, to obtain these checkpoints that you can. Green checkpoints are different though. So these 7 checkpoints, 3, 4, 5, 6, 27, 28, and 29 are intended to be obtained in one trekking section that happens while your bike is here at TA1. Similarly, down here, there's a much smaller trekking section from TA 10, 12, and 13, or checkpoints 10, 12, and 13 while your bike's here at TA2. I did provide a blow up of this area. It does not look like this, but you will have a separate, due to a printer error, you'll have a separate 8.5 by 11 map sheet at a 1 to 6,000 scale showing the narrows of the Harpeth area. These trails are so close together on such a narrow ridge line that you can't really tell what's on top of the ridge versus what's not on this map. So you will get a blow up of this to help with clarity. So the we've gone over most of this. I do want to note that CPs 15 and 16 and 11, so our paddle checkpoint, and then these two are on private property. There's a big property here called Bell's that you'll see signage for Bell's Reserve. It's private property that the owner is letting us use. And CP11 is more or less in one of my friends' backyards. So please be respectful of the friendships that we've built with these people that are letting us use their land for this event. It's important for us to be able to continue offering the event like we are. Checkpoint 13, this is on top of a waterfall. You don't have, it's not that treacherous, but when you're walking on rocks on top of a waterfall, don't sprint back and forth from this checkpoint. We don't want anybody falling in over the falls or anything like that. Just be careful doing this, and we should be fine. And that is the rules of travel. This does form the final race briefing for the CheNarr, and we are certainly looking forward to seeing you guys all out there on Saturday. And I am open for questions. So once you have the maps in hand, you have the rules in hand, you don't understand something, come to me and ask questions. You've got all the way until race start. I'll be willing to answer anything you guys ask for interpretation of what's written on those documents. I hope I covered it all here, but I know that more questions can come up always. So, all right, thank you guys, and we will see you on Saturday.